There she
Finally.
is. Hi. Hi. Yes. How are you?
You know, I'm okay. I'm okay. My heart is hurting because of everything that's happening right now with the
Yeah.
in the world with Gaza and but I'm here. We must carry on somehow. So
Yeah. I'm so sorry, Cami. I really am. It's, particularly for somebody as empathetic as you are, somebody as sensitive as you are. I know it's a very, very, very unforgiving, very cold place. But this, in fact, what you just said, is probably makes what we do even more important. It makes, because if there is a way for humans to learn compassion is to in fact to just unlearn the cruelty, all this cruelty we unlearned by starting it with animals. And if there is a way to forward, I absolutely believe it's going to go through animal sanctuaries, vegan animal sanctuaries in particular. So
yeah, I agree. Yeah. Well, thank you for inviting me on here. Lots of
absolutely.
folks hopping along. So hi everybody.
Hi everybody. I'm Faik Bouhrik, the founder of the Vegan Stay, and this is Camellia. Camellia, tell me your family name, Schinner. Am I pronouncing it correctly?
Yes.
Schinner. Okay, perfect. Because I don't think I have heard it pronounced anywhere. So Schinner, Camellia Schinner. She is the co-founder of the lovely Rancho Compasión here in California, and I'm incredibly excited to go visit this coming November 18th for the event that the sanctuary is going to have, and Camellia is going to tell us about that in a moment. So Camellia, your sanctuary is very unusual for all kinds of reasons, but one of them is that usually my guests, so it's unusual, it's quite typical that sanctuaries are founded by women, and I think this is another very, very important fact that I like to emphasize. But in your case, it's by two generations of women. It's you and your mother. So tell us how that came about, and how it all began, and how you and your mother decided to go on and start a sanctuary.
Yes, I think that's a really important point that you bring up, that it is typically a women-led movement. So our story in particular, and if you see me walking around, it's because I want to be able to show people where we're at. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Please.
Ricky and Lucy. So we moved in 2015 from... Our whole family moved. We had really no intentions of starting an animal sanctuary. We just have always been animal lovers. My mother raised all of the kids in the family to be vegetarian. My sister and I became vegan on our own when we were teenagers. And so, being an advocate for the animals and for our planet has always been something that's very important to our family. And we had a few rescued chickens. We had always adopted dogs and cats. But we just sort of were looking for something more. And we came across this property. It was a 17-acre property here in West Marin, so about 25 minutes from where we were living before. And we moved here and started rescuing animals. And about a year in, we decided, let's become a nonprofit and start having, volunteers and fundraisers and events, and really make this a community effort. And that's how Rancho Compasión started. And at the time, I was actually in college, so I was not really present except for when I was back home for the holidays, and doing as much as I could to help out around the sanctuary. And it wasn't until 3 years ago, almost 4 years ago now, that I moved back home. I was living in LA, and I took up a job offer that we had here at the sanctuary, and started out as the sanctuary assistant, and then became the sanctuary manager. And now hi, there's Miyoko. She's here watching. My mom.
Hi, Miyoko. Yeah, she says she's watching. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, so I've been the sanctuary director now, overseeing all of the different programs, so I am transitioning out. So that's another story for another.
So you said that you transitioned from being vegetarian to being vegan in your teens. Was it a slow process? Was it an evolving was it an evolving process, something that came to realizations one at a time, or was it though something that you just realized, I cannot do this anymore, even vegetarian is not good enough?
Yeah, I think I didn't really understand the dairy and the egg industry because I did not realize that animals had to be killed for those products to exist. So it was kind of a series of watching documentaries, of being my mom's sort of taste tester for all the vegan cheese recipes she was developing at the time. And I think there was like I wish I could pinpoint it to one thing, but I think after like watching a documentary that actually really talked about the dairy industry, maybe it was speciesism, because that came out in 2011, maybe 2012, something like that. I think must have been a documentary that was like, okay, I get it now, and I can't do this anymore. And so I think I went to school the next day, like indulged in like there was always free food at school, like, someone would bring a tray of cookies to class or something. And I like indulged and like had, my last sort of supper. And then I think that was it. I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. Yeah, it's a little fuzzy in my memory, but it was something to the effect of it took time. It wasn't instantaneous thing. And finally, I think one of my sort of beta tests of veganism was this silly diet I was doing with my dad, called the Daniel fast, and you had to cut out pretty much like any like gluten and dairy and eggs. And at the time I would occasionally eat like cow yogurt or eggs. And so that was like my first sort of taste of what it could mean to be vegan or to be fully plant-based. And I felt great doing it, especially as a high schooler. So I think it took me maybe almost 6 months, maybe 6, 7, 8 months after having done that fast to like fully make the decision to go fully plant-based.
Yeah. It's you touch on the journey. It's quite typical actually, and it was exactly my journey as well. I became vegetarian as soon as I came to the United States when I saw some animal activists tableting on campus, and I really believed in the myth, the happy cow on the pasture and the organic egg and the organic this and the organic that, and you think that it's like a win-win situation for us and the animals. And somehow I didn't look into that blind spot until quite a while. I mean, just only 5 years ago, that was 15 years after I became vegetarian and just stopped eating meat, that I just realized what I was describing, that the rabbit hole goes a lot deeper than we think it does. You think it's barely touches the surface, but it's a lot more complex. Our exploitation of animals is a very, very complex thing that, all our institutions now, culture and everything is sort of evolved to support it or to take it as a universal sort of assumption. So it's pretty amazing that anybody gets free out of that, and let alone somebody who's a teenager. So being a teenager and being able to break yourself free out of that is pretty remarkable. So Cami, this is very clearly, I feel that this is for you. It isn't just a matter of, you and your mother started the sanctuary and then out of inertia you find yourself in this position. Very clearly to me that you are very, very passionate about this work. That you are very passionate about, you're very, very passionate about sanctuary work, and you are very, very, very passionate about rescuing animals. And so now that you have this experience also of running a sanctuary, what would be your advice to somebody who's thinking of starting a sanctuary now? Somebody a young person coming in who really as passionate as you are, and they say, okay, there is one advice you would like to give me, what would it be?
Yeah, that's a really good question that I get asked a lot in my line of work, because we have an amazing crew of volunteers that come out here, and some of them they want to volunteer because they too have had this idea of wanting to start a sanctuary. I mean, it really is this sort of happy ideal. Who doesn't want to have like lots of little sheepies just kind of laying around? That's hope over there. Oh, and here comes Mr. Oxy. I mean, it's so many ways, it feels like paradise. But it is really hard work, and it is not something that most people can get themselves into successfully with the animal's best interest in mind. And so my advice is always to, first of all, volunteer at an animal sanctuary for a minimum of a year as a regular committed volunteer. You have to really know the ins and outs and try to do as much of the volunteering as you can. Don't just show up and sweep the barn and wash dishes. Like, try to get involved in what it means to care for them, and get involved in a routine. My second piece of advice is don't go about it thinking that you're going to start a sanctuary. There's so many sanctuaries out there. There's a lot of rescuers and rescues already out there doing this work that need people who have brilliant, flexible, adaptive, innovative minds to be able to go in there and say, oh, I know, like, I can help in this way, or I can, you can start by transporting animals. There's a vast network of animal rescuers and shelters that need help getting, a potbelly pig from one shelter to an adopter 5 hours north. So there's so many ways you can start to get involved with the rescuing and of animals so that they can make it to their forever homes. So there's a lot of people who know that they're not in a financial position to start their own animal sanctuary, to buy property and all of that, and they get involved with rescue and transport. So that's a really good way to lend your heart and your passion to the movement. Now, if you're in a position where you have financial stability, and you honestly, you have to kind of realize that you have to be set for life, or otherwise be a really good business person and have a really strong organization that will be able to thrive beyond you being the founder. Then my first advice to you would be, look for sanctuaries that are already closing their doors and looking for successors, because unfortunately there's actually a lot of sanctuaries that have been having to shut their doors recently, and it's really, really sad. I mean, this is a hard thing. It's a lot of mom and pop sanctuaries, people who started out rescuing animals, and for various reasons, usually because of financial reasons, they have to shut their doors. A lot of times they're people that are getting older because they've been able to retire, but their bodies can't continue to do the work to care for the animals and the maintenance of the property. And so they're looking for people to come and maybe buy their property or become the next caregivers and eventually take over the organization. So there's actually some really cool sanctuary succession opportunities out there. If anyone wants resources specifically, they can contact me. And there's sort of an inactive Facebook page called Sanctuary Succession Opportunities, but I point people in that direction as well. And I would go to opensanctuaryproject.org. There's this incredible free resource. It's like Wikipedia.
Yeah, I saw it.
Sanctuaries. It's so great. And it's like everything you need to know about starting a sanctuary. They have a whole resource called So You Want to Start a Sanctuary. The first thing that most people will tell you is don't start a sanctuary. And if you read the resource, you'll know why. But it's a lot of work, and it's rewarding, and it's beautiful, and there's so many opportunities to really inspire change in lots of people, make it a community effort. But you just have to do your research, just like anything. Really do your research, really commit to it.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Because, I'm saying this, and I'm asking you that particular question because in lots of times, it's extremely important to recognize and to realize that it's really about that sanctuary, about the animals ultimately. It involves us, but it's not about us. It's about them. And I run into people who think that it's some kind of romantic quest. You know, they are high on some kind of emotion one day. They take these big decisions. Oh, look, who's that? Who's that?
Pepper.
Pepper? Hi, Pepper. Oh, look at that. Oh my God, that's... Oh, would like to be on the live. That's great.
Yes. So this is the romantic part of it. Like people see this, right? They see this stuff because we raised him on the bottle in our house. Like he slept on my bed, you know. So he wore a little diaper. He was just the cutest little boy. And so yes, it can be very romantic at times. But
absolutely.
The other side, where like we're dealing with when they're brand new babies, in and out of the hospital, you know, they're at 3 weeks old, his brother passed away. It's heartbreaking. It's really hard to go through the amount of grief and loss. Most people don't make contact with that on a daily basis, and we do that in this line of work.
Absolutely. And I'm also mentioning that to bring attention that people like you are extremely, extremely strong, extremely resilient, and extremely empathetic, and that this is not some kind of, you know, an easy thing you do, you take pictures and anybody can do. This is something that takes in commitment day in, day out, takes understanding, takes patience, and takes all of these things. And in fact, I volunteer at Animal Place because it's just only about an hour from me. And recently, I was involved in rescue missions. So I was very surprised. One of the animals, in fact, it's a small goat that we rescued from Lassen County. Perhaps you heard about that tragic story. You know, he's actually with me on my status on Facebook, and he passed away, and I was feeling very, very sad. It was very, very personal, let alone with the people who work, who are, you know, for me, I'm just a volunteer. I go there once a week when I can, and less frequently when it's a little bit more harder. But I can only imagine with people who spent their entire time with animals, the kind of loss, the kind of trauma, and not just that, it's all these things. And I'm not trying to discourage people from it. What I'm trying to do is to do two things. One is just to show the nuances that go into it, and the other one is to really show the kind of work that people like you, Cami, do. It's, you know, for you, people like you always say, I think of them as like a very special breed of humanity that all of us have to stand by and to support in all ways that we can. And you know, interacting with sanctuaries and, you know, visiting, volunteering, and has shown me things that I would not have shown or have seen otherwise. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I'd like to remind people that we're all inherently capable of this work. We're all inherently passionate. And I think that's something that we have to, the sanctuaries offer the unique opportunity to show people, like, we all have a heart for animals, even if you're like a little bit scared when Fred, our beautiful, magnificent turkey Tom, walks up to you with his feathers puffed out. That can look intimidating, but people, you know, you might kind of have an aversion to birds. But at the end of the day, like, everyone really does have like this deep empathy. Like, we see someone like Fred and we're like blown away. Like, that's an amazing bird. I should show you Fred. I'm talking about him. But you know, our instinct is not to want to harm him. And I think just that instinct alone proves, you know, that we do have this, our nature is to be empathetic. Our nature is to want to love and to care. And however you can find ways to practice that, because it's a practice. Our world can be very desensitizing and isolating, and focus on individualism rather than collective care, community care. And so we have to sort of resist against all the ways that we harden our hearts and try to bring ourselves into these spaces of care and community. And so for a lot of people who maybe have a hard time relating to other humans, they love coming to animal sanctuaries because, I mean, well.
Oh, there he is.
That's Oxy.
Hi, Oxy.
Why wouldn't you love coming to an animal sanctuary? But since I was mentioning Fred, I'll just show you him. Here he is.
Oh, look at that. Wow, so elegant. Hi, Fred. It's important. Hi, Fred.
There's Davy and Doc.
They are beautiful, beautiful creatures.
Yeah, so you know, that's something I really do like to talk about, is making sure that you know, we're like to talk about how we have hardened our hearts. We've learned to harden our hearts, especially children. There's a programs called FFA and 4-H, Future Farmers of America. And these are nationwide programs that teach students, young people, how to raise an animal that they will then take to the county fair, and that they'll show them off for judges, and maybe come home with a ribbon in their hand and some money from selling their animal at auction, and that animal will go to the slaughterhouse. And the first time these kids participate in these programs, a lot of them are pretty traumatized, but then eventually they just become sort of like, well, this is how it has to be, and we're feeding America. It kind of perpetuates this cycle of hardening their hearts to empathy and compassion for animals. So it's really important for us to have youth come out here. We have some high school volunteers, interns here right now. But we actually run a program that's in a bunch of other animal sanctuaries called LEAP, Leaders for Ethics, Animals, and the Planet. And that's sort of an alternative. It's a humane alternative to 4-H and FFA. So that students, high schoolers specifically, can work with animals in a compassionate way at animal sanctuaries without the trauma of taking them to the county fair and seeing their best friend off to go to slaughter, like with this guy here.
Oh. Hey, here. What's his name or her name?
Louie. This is Louie.
Hi, Louie. Oh, beautiful. Enjoying the sunshine, and
yeah,
such gentle creatures. Cows, they really are. So gentle.
They can be, yeah, but they'll let you know if you're not welcome.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
And what I love about cows is really all the animals are very caring, but cows and pigs in particular, they're very dependent upon each other. So cows are matriarchal. So like Angel is she's our other cow, and she grooms Louie, and Louie grooms her back. So they really care about each other.
Yeah, very social, very pack centered.
Yeah.
Very family, sort of extended family, or yeah, absolutely. Yeah, very remarkable in that skill. I mean, which we believe. I mean, humans like usually to pretend that it's just characteristically human, which is absolutely incorrect. So Cami, I'm actually curious. So about your volunteer programs, and so you were just telling about an educational program, and in fact, one thing I wanted to ask about is the volunteering opportunities at the sanctuary, as well as the donations. And I know there are sanctuaries that would like to have sponsors for the animals. Is that a possibility at your sanctuary? If I want to do that, how do I go about doing it?
Yeah, so we don't really we're trying to get our sponsorship program up and running. So right now, if you donate to the sanctuary, we don't have a sponsorship. Just donate to the sanctuary, and it goes to the residents and our ability to care for them. But hopefully in the future we'll have some fun perks for donors to volunteer for a specific resident. But yeah, at this time, everything, the love gets spread even, especially for
well, absolutely. There are benefits to doing it both ways. So there's the benefit of sponsoring a particular animal, and then you get to hear the story and of that particular animal, and you get to watch them. And the other one, as you said, where the love gets spread. Either way, you cannot go wrong. So
yeah.
So do you have monthly memberships?
Yes. Yeah, if you become a monthly member or monthly donor, we don't have a membership program, but if you donate monthly, we add you to our close friends list on Instagram so you can see behind the scenes. And it allows us to make sure that we know that we're getting a constant, stable stream of donations, and it makes it a lot easier to plan ahead for the year. So definitely encourage you to become a monthly donor, and we have events throughout the year. And for events, donors that are local, we have a donor event as well. But yeah, we do like, this year we've had to cancel a few of our events, but every year we have like a number of really great things. Our next event actually is our hoedown, our harvest hoedown on November 18th. And that's going to be right here in the meadow. And we're going to have a band. We're going to learn how to do the square dance.
I'm coming. I'm coming to that one.
You're coming, yeah. We used to do this hoedown like 3-4 years ago before the pandemic. And it was always so much fun. Like, everyone would just get up and start dancing. There was an auction, great food, just like really good vibes. Oh, here's Felix. And so we're really, really stoked to be able to offer the hoedown again. But this time, instead of it being like around Labor Day, we're doing it for Thanksgiving. So it'll be our harvest hoedown to celebrate the fruits of our labor. We've done a lot this year. We really want to show it to you guys and show you how hard we've been working to make this sanctuary not just a sanctuary for the rescued animals, but for everyone who walks through the gates, especially for students, because we're starting up a bunch of humane education programs. So there's just so much in store. We want to celebrate with our community. We want to tell you about what's, what we're looking forward to in the future. And we want to dance and break bread with everyone. And we've got some really good auction items. So it's going to be a blast. It's November 18th.
Yeah, absolutely. November 18th. And I'm so looking forward to it. I will actually share it on my Facebook page so that more people can see it. I live in California, in Sacramento, so that hopefully more people can see it. That would be, I'm really looking forward to that day. And also, I would love to become myself a member, the donor, starting in November. Yeah. And I encourage everybody listening to us live. So this is Camellia Schinner, the co-founder, along with her mother Miyoko, of the lovely Rancho Compasión in Marin County, in California. And so Camellia is walking us through the sanctuary and sharing with us stories about perfect. Miyoko says November 18th for the harvest hoedown. So absolutely looking forward to it, and I think we can spread the word a little bit more so that as many people go to join it and enjoy it. I mean, I love square dancing, but to me, the main attraction is the sanctuary and coming to meet you guys in person.
Yeah, of course. You're going to be with all of the residents. You'll get to see them from the fence. Hi.
Oh, you just have to. One of the animals is going to be my dancing partner, so she better figure schedule that day.
Oh yes.
I think I can dance with a turkey, chicken. In fact, when it comes to animals, as long as I am not selective, I'm not.
Yeah. I think Fred is going to have to do one of his famous tap dances. Fred Astaire, the turkey.
That is really, really awesome. So Cami, yeah, I would love to, if possible, if you could walk us a little bit now through the sanctuary, and then we could, if possible, we could, just have an overview and meet some of the residents, and if you could tell us the stories of at least maybe a couple of them, so that we can to know them more in person and hear more about them. I think you listeners usually love that aspect of the lives.
Oh my God, of course. Well, I'm gonna flip around so you don't have to face me.
And Miyoko says she will be cooking that day. Oh, that looks absolutely awesome. Tickets available from the website. Yeah, I saw the tickets on the flyer, so I will share that on our social media as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's on our link in bio too. So, hey, if anyone here lives in the Bay Area and is going to be able to come to our Harvest Hoedown, will you just send a heart reaction? I want to see if any of you guys are planning on coming out. And in the meantime, I'm going to tell you about Pepper, because I started to tell you about him, and he volunteered by coming right up to the camera. So something you might have noticed as I was walking behind him is he has a tail. And for those of you who maybe missed that, let me get you that close up. So I think, to me, it's pretty mind-blowing. For some people, they've never seen a sheep with a tail. Most of us are used to seeing sheep like Hope, who is the really dirty sheep over here. She doesn't have a tail. And some people may not know why that is. A lot of us think that maybe they're born with short tails, like, you know, like a bunny rabbit or something. But no, they're actually born with these beautiful long tails that they get cut off when they are just a couple days old at the farms that they're bred at. The pupper was what's called a bummer lamb, and a bummer lamb is an actual term. We don't make that word up. And those are all the lambs that are sort of rejected by the mothers. A lot of times they're male because the farmer decides that they can't really do much with the males. And so this one animal sanctuary that used to be in Oregon worked with a farmer up there to have all the bummer lambs surrendered to her so that she could find adopters for them. A lot of them went to animal sanctuaries. So this was in 2021. He came here. It was in January, so in the middle of the winter. That's when they're born, which is a very unnatural, very unfriendly birthing season. So a lot of the babies that are rejected by the mamas are frozen to death out in the fields. And so it's really this big rescue effort to try and get them safe and sound. A lot of them are really sick when they go. Is really weak, little tiny Pepper, just a cute tiny baby. He had to spend a few days in the hospital with antibiotics, and he came out really, really strong. He had a brother named Salt who started out being the strong one, and then he started getting these seizures, and he had to go to the hospital. He was doing okay, but eventually his body failed, and so we lost him at 3 weeks old. And so Pepper is a big, strong dog in sheep's clothing. He's sort of the fearless leader of his little flock. He comes and visits the house because we bottle fed him. He stayed in the house with us for the first month and a half, because he was our only lamb, and we didn't want to put him out in the field with all the big sheep. We didn't want him to get hurt. So he stayed in our house, and he's just such a sweetheart. So now he comes up and visits the house. And he's so big that when he turns around, his butt turns the stove on. So I've had to be very careful about him because, well, you don't want the stove just randomly on high heat when you're not home, because this man has learned to open the door and let himself in. He's just so funny. He's the best. And this was
a lot of character.
He's a character. And a couple months after we got Pepper, he was all alone. We thought, he's still a lamb. It would be really great if there was another lamb since his brother died. So that's when we heard about another lamb named Ollie who needed a home from the same farm. Don't eat that walnut. And so Ollie, his tail's so long, and he's dragging behind him blackberry bramble, a very chic accessory. So Ollie has a similar story. He was a bummer lamb, came to live with us, and he's not as rambunctious as Pepper. He doesn't go into the house and turn the stove on and all of that. Look at that tail. So, neat. I feel like my camera has a little bit of a glare on it. Okay. So
it looks perfect as far as I can tell. Yeah.
All right.
You can see.
Right. So the property is about 16 and a half acres. And it consists of one barn that was here when we bought the property. Then we added a bunch of fencing and other structures. And like way at the top of our property, behind all these trees, there's a way on top of this hill. It's a pretty hilly property. We have a vineyard and an olive orchard. It's really gorgeous. We often host events up there at the vineyard, usually during the summer. So I want to introduce you to our OGs, not the original gangstas, but the original goats of the sanctuary. And that would be Rufus and Reggie.
Beautiful names, Reggie and Rufus.
Yes, so they came actually from Animal Place's adoption program years ago. So they came to us when we first started in 2015. And at that time, our only intention was to just have like some goats as little, as backyard pets, basically. Hi. Hey, bud. Oh, there's Goober. And then, we just couldn't say no to more animals. And so then that's when we decided to become a sanctuary. But Rufus and Reggie here, Rufus is top goat, but they are male dairy goats. So they're unwanted in the dairy industry. They have no use. You can't really exploit their bodies to produce milk. So they just were unwanted. I'm not sure what their specific stories were. They came from different farms, and they both needed adoption. So they came to live here, and Reggie here is my mom's boyfriend goat, and he's got the most kissable lips. Hi. Hi, my love. This is everyone's best friend, Goober.
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 Goober, yeah.
Oh. Goober. Hi, Goober.
He
wants to say hi. Hi, Goober.
He does. He always wants to say hi. We're not getting a good angle here of you, but it's okay. And look at those nice big tusks and those beautiful white eyelashes and that big nose.
How old is he?
Goober is probably, I think he's about 6, 7 years old. Walk away from the goat. Rufus is saying, I need more pets. Goober came with his sister Gamber, raised in a program, as an FFA project, which I was mentioning earlier. It's a program where students raise an animal for the purposes of showing them off at the county fair. They get sold at auction, and then they get slaughtered. And so, obviously, this girl didn't go through the process. That's how they made it their way here. So they're piglets that she was raising, and she fell in love with them because they're basically just puppies. They get the zoomies. They love to cuddle. They're just so gentle and so sweet. And part of what you have to do when you're raising these animals for 4-H or FFA is you have to train them like you would a dog. You have to spend time with them. You have to teach them how to be docile so that you can walk them and parade them around the show ring. So you're basically doing this crazy thing of bonding with an animal that you're then going to have to kill, essentially. So this is his sister Gamber. So there were 2 of them that were listed for free on a website, and they wanted them to go to an animal rescue, ideally. So we said, yeah, we'll take them in. And at the time, we only had our little pigs, like Onyx, over there. He's full grown, but he's much tinier than the bigs. So it was pretty fun learning how to deal with having very large goats or pigs. We have an interspecies animal sanctuary, so all of the residents live together. We don't really separate by species. Of course, the chickens live separately because they have a beautiful big aviary. So I think Foxy wants to come in. But yeah, so one of the interesting things about having an interspecies sanctuary model is that our residents have to learn how to get along, and they do. You coming in? Foxy? Hi. Oh, comment ça? Are you still here?
Yeah, absolutely.
There it is. I was just saying hi to an old friend of mine who tuned in.
So, how many animals total do you have at the sanctuary?
We care for about 80.
Wow,
total.
that's quite. Wow, that's quite a sizable number.
Yeah, and there's 10 different species. So ducks, geese, chickens, turkeys, goats, sheep, cows, donkeys, pigs, cat. I don't know if I...
Quite a bit of variety.
Yeah. All of the animals that, get placed into the category of exploitable, basically, of being, being food or being byproducts or product machines. So that's why... Hi, Frida. This is Daisy. Daisy is really remarkable. She's just gone through an awful situation. Basically what happened is we found her one morning, not interested in eating, laying down. Her whole head was purple. It was bizarre. It was just, she was really sick. So we took her to our vet. They did x-rays. They saw that there were 2 fully formed eggs inside of her. And so they immediately went into surgery to remove those 2 eggs. But that didn't explain why her face, including her beak, or her bill, was completely purple. And so she was also simultaneously undergoing a septic infection. So some kind of bacterial infection was spreading to all of her extremities. So it was the tips of her wings, and her feet, the tip of her tongue, her face, and in a few days, her extremities were starting to turn black.
Oh.
This was right after surgery. She's in the hospital in recovery, and everything's turning black, and it's going necrotic. So her skin is starting to die off in places. The tip of her tongue fell off. Muscovy ducks usually have this sort of little horn on top of their beak. That went black and that fell off. Her tip of her wings started to break off. You can see right here it's starting to, that's this sort of dark stuff is all necrotic flesh is growing out. And then her feet were the last to go. So she was walking on dead feet. We were hoping that the circulation would revitalize, because in certain areas the circulation did come back, but it didn't. And so they had to eventually surgically remove her feet, her toes. So she walks, she has little stumps, and she's a Muscovy duck, so she already never really liked swimming in our pond. We have a really big pond, so she gets to hang out with the chickens and the turkeys, and she does hang out with the ducks as well, but so she kind of floats around different places. So she's doing really well now, and we're trying to get prostheses and trying to figure out a good plan for her going forward.
Kelsey Leach says, thank you for saving Daisy. Yes, absolutely, Kelsey. I second that. Thank you so much for doing that. That's amazing. I mean, that she was able to come back from all of that.
It really was. The doctors, these are, avian specialists, so these doctors are used to seeing the craziest of scenarios. And they said that she was just really, really strong for going through that. Even they were pretty blown away.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I could see why.
Yeah. So she's really resilient, really incredible. And her partner passed away last year, and so she's, his name is Moby. He was a very large Muscovy duck. So she's experienced heartbreak and hardship, and yet she still perseveres. She's actually raising her little mohawk right now because Uber's walking past, and she likes to be a little bit tough and make herself kind of more threatening. So if one of the goats were to walk over, she would start biting them. because
Oh,
Muscovies
that's so funny.
are very peckish. And
Yeah.
this goat in the middle with the brown, so there's Spice, who's the one in front, and the one behind her is Sugar. And they both learned that if they walk right in front of Daisy, that she's going to grab with her beak their skin, and she's going to like twist it. And a lot of goats are like, ouch, that really hurts. I'm going to walk away now. But these girls learn that if they deliberately walk right in front of her and they let her do that, it feels like a deep tissue massage. So these two goats in front love to come up to Daisy and ask for their deep tissue Daisy massages.
I see. I see. Hey, Cami, you are cutting a little bit.
Okay.
I think perhaps that. But I wonder if it's just a matter of range. But by and far, this has been. I mean, for all 99% of the time, now I think it's back to normal. So, how many goats do you have? Looks like quite a few, actually.
Well, it's right now we have 6. Last week, sadly, one of our goats passed away. He became very ill. We thought maybe it was a case of bloat. We gave him all the treatments. Nothing was working. We took him to the vet. They couldn't figure out what was going on. So then we transferred him to UC Davis. They did more testing, more x-rays, a CAT scan. Couldn't find really anything. Opened him up for an exploratory exam, and it was not looking good in there. And so it was, to the point where like he would not have made it. So we made the decision to let him. Yeah, everyone here is learning how to adapt without one of their herd mates.
Beautiful creatures, goats are. So, Cami, this is about the time where we usually it's about 50 minutes to an hour, and I just would like to if you could turn the camera to you, so we could have some final words.
Final words, yeah.
For me to thank you. Yes, final words for now. I'll be at the party on the 18th of November. I cannot wait for that event. So Cami, I just want to say that really thank you so very much that you took the time, and I know this is a very critical time, very sensitive time. So thank you so much for taking the time to walk us through the sanctuary, to tell us the story, and to make us meet some of these absolutely adorable beings that you're surrounded by, and I'm sure that looking into their eyes, it just makes you and reminds you and makes you remember why you are into this line of work to start with.
Yes,
it's an incredible privilege that comes, as we were saying earlier. It's quite a nuanced experience, and as I was saying, I'm talking to our listeners and to everybody listening to us live and onto the recording as well. This is Camellia Schinner, the co-founder of Rancho Compasión in Marin County, California. And Cami is one of a very rare breed of human that, of course there are some men, but usually mostly are women, very courageous, very empathetic, very highly sensitive, and the kind of person that really, really require and deserve our support in whatever form it comes. So please follow them on social media, consider making donations, becoming monthly donors, which I myself planning on doing, considering how much I believe in the mission. Visit the sanctuary, spread word about the sanctuary, and in any way, form, or shape you can get involved, and you can. So Cami, what would you tell us as your final thoughts on this live?
Well, thank you so much for everyone who's tuning in and who will watch the replay. Thank you, Faik, for hosting. The Vegan Stay is really, I think it's going to be game-changing. Please check them out and book a vegan stay. We don't have any accommodations here, but there's an accommodation in the Bay Area that is supporting Rancho Compasión. And if you live locally and you want to come out to the sanctuary, please do. We've got an amazing Harvest Hoedown to celebrate the season coming up November 18th. The link is in the bio. Let's dance, let's break bread, let's celebrate the animals here and the garden program that we just started. There's so many amazing things we want to share with you. And then lastly, I want to acknowledge that we're all doing what we can to be more compassionate within ourselves and to be more compassionate within the world. And I think that's important work in whatever way it manifests. So keep doing that. Keep
Absolutely
advocating for that.
Yeah. Absolutely. And animal sanctuaries, like Cami was showing us, it's not just simply, it's just a huge task. Saving animals, providing them with a home and for the care. Animal sanctuaries are these amazing centers of education. They have the potential to change humanity. I absolutely believe in that. And I absolutely believe these are probably the most civilized spots on this planet, considering everything else. I mean, vegan animal sanctuary is a place like any other. So please consider following social media, joining them. And also I would like to add that Cami was talking about the Vegan Stay, and we are evolving our mission starting in November. We will be putting announcements sometime very soon about Vegius, our artificial intelligence powered app that will have stays. So far we have stays in about 40 countries, but then we are going to have also events, meetups, and all kinds of things related to lifestyle. And it's at our core mission to support sanctuaries. And we are incredibly proud that Rancho Compasión is one of our partners. And this was just our first year of since we launched the project, and I cannot wait where this is going to take all of us. So thank you for everybody who tuned in. Cami, thank you so very much for your time. I cannot wait to meet you in person, like in person, because we have met online, but in person on the 18th, and also to meet your mother in person, and to see the sanctuary and to meet all these adorable beings. And please hang in there. You are doing us all the service. And thank you so very much for what you do every day, day in and day out.
Thank you. Thank you. Likewise.
Yes. Bye, Cami. Bye, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Bye, everybody.